Hey everybody, welcome to Tales from the Tavern. My name is Dominic, and I'm here with my good friend, Lizzy Cooperman.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Lizzy. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on. Lizzy, we worked together at The Soup.
Yes.
And we became friends. You introduced, which I believe has been in at least one of my stories, the Double Down.
Oh, really?
I think it's been brought up at least on a show, maybe with Tim as well, Tim Jennings, who we also worked with.
Yes.
Yeah, the Double Down. Lizzy, why don't you tell people what the Double Down is?
That makes me so happy. First of all, that it was integrated. Wow. The Double Down is just like when someone does something that you disapprove of so strongly that not only do you have to give them 2 middle fingers, but they have to be facing downward.
They have to be facing downward because...
It's like a thumbs down and an F you at the same time.
And it's also like something when you see, you're kind of unsure what you're looking at.
Right.
And you kind of have to process it. And then like once you get it, you're even more insulted because you had to think about your insult.
When you've gotten thrown one, yeah, you know something's gone horribly wrong.
And when you've been double downed, you don't forget it.
You never forget it.
Let's let people know what the prompts are this week. They're Masks, which was submitted by Jeff Ken, and Artificers, which was submitted by Jacob. If you want to submit your own prompt or vote on prompts, you can find out more by visiting patreon.com/TFTTpod. Lizzy, before we get into some fantasy here, I want to talk about some real-life fantasy, some real-life magic, which is you do tarot readings from time to time. Is that right?
I do.
What was your first contact with tarot?
Okay. I was sitting at a coffee shop. When I lived in New York, and I was writing in my journal, and this old man with like a really like small gray beard and kind of like swathed in robes came up to me and he was like, you are going to be a writer. And I didn't connect at the time that I was writing in my journal or anything. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. I do want to be a writer.
Yeah.
So I ended up talking to this guy for a long time, and he read my palm. And he showed me how to palm read. He became a friend of mine. And eventually he had clients. He did this professionally.
Oh, wow. And what was his name, by the way?
His name was Baba Shalom.
Baba Shalom.
Yes.
That's my new favorite name.
And I believe he had a cable access show.
Really?
Yes. He kept mentioning, he'd be like, oh, you'll be on my TV show. And I was like, what TV show? So once Baba Shalom taught me how to palm read, I then moved to LA. And I didn't have a lot of money. My friend worked for these really famous screenwriters. She said their 7-year-old daughter is having a birthday party and they really want a fortune teller there. And I was like, I will do whatever it takes to get this job.
Yeah.
So I learned tarot for this particular birthday party so I could give people the option.
How old were the kids?
The kids were young, and honestly, it was mostly for the parents.
Oh, okay.
And I was like on fire that day for whatever reason. I was like doing really well with my readings.
Were you doing mostly palm or tarot?
I did a lot of tarot that day. Once you get tarot, and if you can make the connections between the cards and figure out their relationships to each other, you pretty much can feel it out. A lot of it is interpretation. You know the basic meaning, but you have to figure out the way that the story connects.
For people who don't really understand what tarot really is, why don't you just give it like the little synopsis there?
In tarot cards, you lay down cards that have certain symbols or meanings or characters that represent certain qualities.
And there's different decks. Like there's like throughout time, there's been many different illustrated decks, but the cards remain the same, right? There's always like there's the Magician, the Fool,
the Empress, the Emperor, the Wheel of Fortune.
And all these cards will usually have a pretty similar illustration, but it's the images that kind of give you an idea of how to understand what's going on in your life right now.
Yes, especially if you get a card and it's like a man lying on his back with like tons of arrows on his back. You just can glean, you're going through a pretty hard time right now.
Things might be pretty bad, but
or like lots of pentacles. The pentacles represent kind of money or abundance in certain situations. You can have a spread that represents where you are in that moment, and you can kind of figure out a new, like it sheds new light on where you are in your life, depending on how you interpret those cards in that very moment. Yeah. So it kind of gives you like a new way to look at life, you know?
It's kind of uplifting because it's like, oh, it's not all in the dark. I can figure it out, and like I see what's kind of going on.
Yes.
I think that's so cool. But Lizzy, right now we are in a tavern. We're in your world. Where are we?
Right now, we are at Nodding Birds.
Nodding Birds.
And there is a wing special, baby.
There's a wing special tonight.
If you get here before the storm, you get double the normal amount of Nodding Bird wings.
That's incredible. That's a credible deal.
But you have to pay extra if you want more ranch.
Oh, that's understandable.
But
it's kind of a pain, but I mean, double the wings.
Double the wings.
That's a deal.
Yeah, they're tangy.
They're tangy. I was going to ask, are they like hot but I guess they're tangy.
They're tangy.
And that's the Nodding Birds brand of wing. Would you say that's like the buffalo wing of your world?
Well, the Nodding Bird is an actual bird.
Yes.
In the world, yes.
But it's also the name of this bar, right?
Yes.
Okay. What is the name of your world called?
Gornick. We're on Gornick, Maine. Right now is where Nodding Birds is located.
It's on Gornick, Maine.
Gornick, Maine.
Okay, so is there like different islands in Gornick, or?
Gornick is just kind of one hunk of land.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's one pretty flat hunk of land.
The main land of it, is that like on the bay, or is it like, where are we perhaps?
The main hunk of land is kind of in the center.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
The water, you would have to travel to go to the beach.
Oh, okay.
Like the main castle and everything is smack dab in the center of Gornick.
And Nodding Birds is...
And Nodding Birds is just a few blocks away. So if you rule, you have a convenient place to get appetizers.
I love it. What kind of folks regular Nodding Birds?
Well, it's a kind of pub where like theater people go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it seems like it could be.
Yeah. Like after like... You know, for their cast party or something.
Yeah. Okay,
do a little dry humping.
Yeah, you know, like...
Yeah, like people do.
The appropriate amount of mingling.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I see.
Like it's a place for them to get a little bit salacious.
Gotcha.
Once in a while, there are these birds in my land also called finking birds.
Oh, okay.
And they're kind of like big chubby birds.
I love it.
And they used to go there. It used to be called just Gornick, Maine. And they used to go there when it was called Gornick, Maine. But once they started serving Nodding Birds, there was a big...
Oh, yeah. Big controversy.
Uprising. Yeah. Because they were like, we've been loyal customers. And now
the birds,
they feel like they've been pushed out.
Well,
yes.
Yeah, I would say
Thinking
so.
Birds feel that way.
I mean, thinking birds can talk as well.
Yeah.
Which I love. So they're chubby, thinking, talking birds.
Uh-huh.
And now, do they reside outside of Gornick, Maine? Then they're not there so much.
They
anymore?
can travel if they want to. There are still some thinking birds in Gornick.
Okay.
Yeah, but not at the bar. They don't hang out at the bar anymore. Some goblins do. Some little goblins.
How little? Like tiny guys? Like really?
Yeah, pretty tiny.
Magically tiny?
I would say, how tall is this?
That's like, it's 2.5 feet.
About 2.5
2.5
tall
feet, yeah.
Goblins. Yeah.
That is...
Sweet goblins.
Yeah, they sound like sweet guys. Yeah.
The goblins are sweet in Gornick.
I do feel kind of bad about being at Nodding Birds now, knowing of the whole controversy, though.
Well, the finking bird, once this whole thing went down, they started saying they weren't from Gornick. They started saying they're from Orne.
Oh, really?
And they just said, that's our society now. We are the finking birds of Orne.
Oh, wow. Oh.
So
Gornick, how does Gornick feel? How do the people from Gornick feel about
They just tolerate it.
Oh, okay.
They're like, okay, let them have that. They deserve it.
That's rightfully so. I mean, Nodding Birds, it's kind of a foul
It is.
play.
It's a slap in the face.
Yeah. So, poor thinking birds.
I know.
Are there thinking birds? Not, you know what? I don't want to spoil your story.
Okay.
But now, I hope there are thinking birds.
I can't wait to tell you all about it.
Well, hey, why don't we get into it? Why don't we share our tales of masks and artificers right now?
Okay.
Let's do it. Let's go.
The name of the story is The Great Mask of Gornick.
The Great Mask of Gornick. I'm excited.
Oh, good. Sir Theatre Lord sat...
I love it already. Okay,
okay. Sir Theater Lord sat dumbfounded in his papasan chair, looking out over the city of Gornick. I, Sir Theater Lord, have risen to power. He didn't like the way it sounded. He tried, I, Sir Theater Lord, am in power now, and I, Theater Lord, am ruler. But it was also new to Sir Theater Lord, and though it had been but 3 nights since he'd defeated Count Tranboth, he already missed his old way of life, the quick changes, and his favorite game Zerp, Zarp, Zorp. And he was already experiencing phantom back rub chains. 1 minute he'd be staring out over the bustling city, and the next minute he'd feel one phantom hand on his shoulder, and the other a fist kneading between his shoulder blades. Higher or lower, Sir Theater Lord? The phantom voice would ask. And slack-jawed, Sir Theater Lord would mutter, lower. Oh, how he longed to feel his purple satin slippers on the stone road as he walked toe first, then heel, to his daily performances of Death of a Henchman.
I love all the warm-ups.
Oh, good, good. But because he had so stupidly decided to save the city of Gornick, he was released from the production and replaced, a little too promptly in his opinion, by his understudy, a mere Craggoth goblin from Ragfield named Crag Ragson.
Crag Ragson from Ragfield.
Crag was 5'2", with a severe underbite and red shoulder-length hair, and didn't seem to belong in the theater. He always wore the same large burlap blouse that said "No Fear" on it. And was known for constantly bumming Kingsels off of people. He would say, I'll pay you $1 if you give me one, just so the person who had the Kingsels would get annoyed and say, no, that's okay, Craig, just take the Kingsel. Craig?
What is a Kingsel?
It's like a cigarette.
Okay. I figured it would be like a cigarette.
It's like an old, it's an old brown cigarette.
Oh, okay.
Craig also told the same jokes over and over. Like, what do you call a pointy hat with stars all over it that's filled with chocolate and marshmallows? A s'morlock. And then he laughed to himself as smoke curled up from his gigantic bottom jaw. Though deeply lonely and miserable, Sir Theater Lord was happy to have put an end to Count Tranboth's abuse of the most coveted, most precious treasure in all the city, the Great Mask of Gornick. The Count, who resembled a small, slightly melted crayon in both size and texture, had somehow managed his whole adult life to expertly wield a 7-foot sword.
Oh.
In fact, if you didn't know better, you might just think the sword was moving on its own. This created such intrigue that Count Tranboth was named one of Variety Stone's top 10 rulers to watch. Carefully. If anyone but hinted at the fact they could not see the Count, they would be met by his sharp, silvery sword that was personally engraved as a bar mitzvah gift. CBT, it read, for Count Barry Tranboth, written in Bakersfield Old Face font. One day, a Gornick must have made a horrible comment about his height, because Count Tranboth threatened to use the Great Mask of Gornick to not only shut down, but to obliterate the Ivory Fitness Center.
Oh,
yeah, this is big.
Yeah, knowing what I know about the people of Gornick, that is huge.
They need this. Yeah, they spend all their time at Nodding Birds. They need to burn it off. They're actors. Well, sure, most Gornicks could tell you. The Ivory Fitness Center had its low points. For example, they would shame you if you couldn't lift a bag of dead nodding birds. And they made you pay for water.
What?
Yeah, I know. But still, they had special racks where you could keep your gaff boots.
Oh, okay.
And hang your warhammers. And it has been told that once, old Dame Dandeglock left her sickle sword next to the stone rowing machine, and the kind staff of mostly Gornicles, who are people from Gornick whose parents are siblings, they all work at the fitness center.
And they have a special term deemed by the people of Gornick.
Yes, Gornicles.
Gornicles.
But they kept her sickle sword behind the desk for 2 weeks, which is really nice of them.
That is super
So when
nice.
she went back, they still had it.
So not only did they need this place, but like decent people work there.
Yeah, the Gornicles need to work.
Yeah, and this is the only place that
They don't have
work.
much else.
No, they don't.
Yeah. You know, and Sir Theodore Lord knew he had no choice but to save the Ivory Fitness Center. But not just for the city, and not just to maintain his goal upper body strength. He had to keep it open in hopes of winning the affection of the one he hoped to be his lover for all of eternity. And that was the dreamy Jafelgan Buttle.
The names of Gornick are incredible.
They thank you. Jafelgan Buttle wore suggestively thick belts and unbuttoned blouses, and his thick brown ponytail always smelled like a mixture of Moroccan oil and meat. And as if he couldn't get any hotter, he also rode 2 horses, one on top of the other, double-decker style.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
That's a little like the Double Down.
It is like the double down.
Different.
It's like a big double down to the whole city of Gornick.
But oh my god, that's incredible!
Yeah, he was, Sir Theodore Lord had first laid eyes on him at the Ivory Fitness Center, and he watched, like, as Jafelgan bent deeply into his rock lunges, and then he'd let out barbaric grunts, and then douse himself in nodding bird blood just to cool off.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Wow.
He drove Sir Theodore Lord crazy. So Sir Theodore Lord thought that by saving the Ivory Fitness Center, Jafelgan would finally take notice and see him first as a hero, and then as his steamy, unrelentingly passionate lover. But here was Sir Theodore Lord sitting in his papasan, staring out at the mostly good people of Gornick. And here was the truth. The dirty, awful shame so low he could feel it all the way down to the bottom of his very leggings. He had no clue, not a single idea as how to operate the great mask of Gornick.
Oh.
How could this be? He was Sir Theodore Lord after all, and this was a mask. It could not be any more on the nose. In fact, even I, as the one reporting this dreadful fact, shiver at the cliche nature of the obstacle at hand. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if at the end, Sir Theodore Lord pulled out some speech on supporting the arts out of his canvas tote bag that he bought while visiting the Yesterbone exhibit at the Modern Museum of Gornick. He sat studying the great mask, which hung floating in the middle of the room, suspended by a thick rope. The mask itself, it was pretty simple, purple and turquoise swirls with a long nose and a shimmering border. And yet he couldn't help but feel paralyzed by fear. What if he were to put on the mask, and unaware of its powers, something were to go terribly wrong? Suddenly, a large winged creature resembling John Lithgow swooped in and landed on the windowsill. The creature cleared his throat a total of 4 times and yet still sounded like he was choking on yogurt. I am Flaggart. I am a frinking bird of the Orne. The Orne is where they make frinking birds. I don't answer questions. I only tell you things. Now listen closely. When you see a flask, there will be a goblin. But when you need help with a mask, you must see the Fitzgobbins. Well, the Fitzgobbins. Tragedetta and Commedelia Fitzgobbins were immobile and spent most of their days eating Grislover's stuffed crust pergozel in their respective beds. No one had visited the Fitzgobbins twins in nearly 300 years, and if one did, one had to be careful that the sisters did not turn on them. For if one rubbed them the wrong way, particularly if you said that they in any way reminded you of the shut-ins from Grench Gardens, it is said they could lock eyes and immediately exile you into the realm of 100 monologues for men, where you could never escape unless you memorized all 100 of them.
Oh my gosh.
That's a cruel fate.
That is cruel. That is incredibly cruel.
Flaggart flew off, and the sky began to darken. A strong wind rushed through the city of Gornick, followed by a deep and wicked storm. Black rain filled the streets, and the moon began to sprint across the sky. I must leave at once, but I kind of don't want to, said Sir Theodore Lord, and just as he began to half-heartedly pack for his journey, he heard a knock at the door. Before he could answer it, the door burst open to reveal a stout figure in a hooded cloak. The cloak dropped, and there was a shawl. The shawl dropped, and there stood a middle-aged woman with long bushy hair and a prominent mole between her mouth, which appeared to have very little chin area.
Oh.
Sir Theodore Lord, you've never looked better. Do you remember me? Because I remember you. I used to be an usher at the theater, but I got kicked out for inappropriate behavior. She then dropped her dress to reveal a red satin, ill-fitting nightgown that appeared to have been snatched from the bargain bin at Orgath's. You could tell that the teeth sewn into the straps for decoration were cheap because they still had the roots attached. Oh, and my name is Grenne. Grenne. She carefully laid her gaze on the great mask of Gornick. Incredible, isn't it? The great mask of Gornick, she said. God, I've had some great times with this thing. And then she did the unthinkable. She took out one of her pale, grubby hands, and she swatted the great mask like she was a cat, and it was some kind of plaything. Oh. What exactly did you do with the mask? Asked Sir Theodore Lord. What didn't I do with it? Grenne replied, picking spinach out of her molars and placing the dirty spinach in between the teeth on the straps of her nightgown. Well, say you had power, said Sir Theodore Lord. Say just hypothetically you ruled the city of Gornick. What would you do with the mask? How would you use it? That's really none of your business, but I'll tell you what. You loan me the great mask of Gornick just for the weekend. And in return, Grenne snorted and twirled her hair. I will make Gornick a much better place, probably, and you can take all the credit. With that, Grenne snorted and unclipped the mask from the rope. I didn't realize it just unclipped like that, said Sir Theodore Lord. Grenne gave him a look like, you pathetic piece of shit, and headed out into the storm. Outside, a group of knights ran through the streets yelling, "We have an emergency!" And from what Sir Theodore Lord could glean, they were pulling something heavy in a wheeled cart. He ran down the steps of the castle and into the storm. Who, may I ask, rides in this emergency cart? A slender, nervous wisp of a knight with soaking wet baby bangs spoke up. The Fitzgobbin sisters, sir. They have clogged their arteries, but are still alive. Sir Theodore Lord jumped into the wheeled cart, and there they were. All 623 pounds of the Fitzgobbin sisters, lying side by side like large uncooked plops of dough. Fitzgobbin sisters, it's the great mask of Gornick. I need your help. To his surprise, the Fitzgobbin sisters were friendly and spoke, trading off every other word. They said, "In whose possession lies the mask now?" Well, for now, a lusty wench named Grenne. You must retrieve the mask from Grenne. Why? She is betrothed to Count Tranboth. What? Their eyes closed. Were they dead? Sir Theodore Lord couldn't help but ask, well, do you know her address? It was too late. Sir Theodore Lord could feel himself sinking into a deep depression. Normally he reveled in his emotions, but without a creative outlet, they quickly turned to despair. He stood in the rain. I just need to take care of myself right now. He'd learned the whole business of taking care of himself from the great prophetic Anguisnotch, who taught workshops on how not to fall into a caretaker role, even when your partner is bitten by a triple-toothed swarthagon.
Oh my gosh, that sounds super serious.
It's very serious, but you can't become codependent over it.
It's so true.
You'll just fall into that role of victim and caretaker.
I would like to point out that since the storm has rolled in, it's no longer double wings at...
oh, yeah. The deal is off.
Yeah, so you had your chance, guys.
You had your chance. You have to pay full price, but they have a really good midnight menu, so stick around. They get less tangy around midnight. Slightly less tangy. That's their special. And it occurred to Sir Theodorlord, just because he ruled Gornick didn't mean he couldn't maintain a solid workout regimen. He hopped in the wheeled cart with the dead Fitzgobbin sisters and said, "Take me to the Ivory Fitness Center at once." The cart hobbled in the dark over the stone road. A strong scent of moldy pergosal began to waft up from the Fitzgobbin sisters, so Sir Theodorlord just had to plug his nose and breathe through his mouth almost the whole way there. Until finally he just said, "This is good, you can drop me off here." He got out and walked the rest of the way with his lantern stretched before him, toe heel, all the way to the fitness center. When he got there, he realized he forgot his membership card, so he simply placed his hand on the stone outside the door and said the magic words, "Eat big, lift big, and get Hagersnoft." The door opened. The fitness center was unusually dark. He could hardly make out the stone rower or the rock lunger machine, and there were just a few scattered lanterns, and what was that? That awful groaning noise coming from behind the stone wall, where normally massages were given post-jousting. As he approached the wall, the noise grew louder. Was it a wounded animal? An ensnared fatfitch? He peeked behind the wall and observed what appeared to be a wool blanket over some kind of moving mass. Sword in hand, Sir Theodorlord carefully moved toe first, then heel, toward the moving blanket and peeled it back, only to reveal, lying on his back and wearing the great mask of Gornick, the love of his life, Jafelgan Buttle.
Oh my gosh! No!
Yes! Jafelgan, his look went from ecstasy to shock. "What the hell, dude?" Jafelgan said. Just then, another figure popped out from under the blanket. It was none other than the red satin nightgown-clad Greta. "I told you we'd have fun with the mask." "But how can this be? I thought that you were betrothed to Count Tranboth." "Oh, he's in here somewhere," she said, rifling through the sheets. "I'm right here," a little voice grumbled, and the tiny crayon-sized Count appeared. "I was stuck in the fitted sheet." "But the great mask of Gornick, how dare you use it like some kind of plaything?" "That's all it is, sweetheart. It just helps us get into the role play," replied Greta. "And the three of us here, we've got a good thing going on, don't we, boys?" She smacked Jafelgan's bottom. Sir Theodorlord was enraged. "Why did you have to use this mask? Couldn't you just go to a party store?" "We can't pull ourselves away long enough to take a break," Greta said. "I could actually use a break," Jafelgan muttered. "Shut up," Greta quipped. "Now, Sir Theodor, man, would you mind dragging the great mirror of Zoran in here? I like to do it in front of my own reflection."
The great mirror of Zoran.
Sir Theodorlord stormed out of the fitness center and into the rain. The only place he knew to go back to was the square outside the church where they'd be doing the final tech rehearsal of Death of a Henchman. Just then, a strong wind burst through the doors of the Ivory Fitness Center. It was Flaggart. "I'm over here, Flaggart." Flaggart went to Sir Theodorlord, and he hopped on his back, and they charged through the sky. And because it was only a minute away, Flaggart did some extra circles for dramatic effect.
For they get the real swell of the overture, you know?
Exactly. It needed to feel like a journey, like a process. When they landed, Sir Theodorlord said, "Thank you, Flaggart. If it weren't for you, I'd be at home sleeping right now." Flaggart shrugged and flew into the storm, crashed into a tree, said God damn it, and limped into the distance. And there it was, the final tech rehearsal. Lanterns were strewn across the makeshift planks, and the DIY curtain made from secondhand bizzle feathers glowed. And there in the spotlight was Sir Theodorlord's understudy, the pale goblin, Crag Ragson. Crag Ragson was in the middle of a dramatic monologue, and when his eyes met Sir Theodorlord's, he halted the rehearsal, slowly stepped off the stage, and moved toward him. In this light, Crag looked different. Maybe it was his haircut, or that he'd shaved, or the fact that his No Fear burlap blouse had some pretty cool shiny rocks glued to it. Sir Theodorlord, he said, might I offer you a kringzel? Crag, said Sir Theodorlord, you're so different now. Crag said, I only wanted to be your understudy so I could be close to you. And now that you've returned, the role is yours.
Oh!
At that very moment, the same wobbly-wheeled cart from earlier in the story came bouncing down the road. It stopped, and the Fitzgobbin sisters, still alive, sat up.
Oh!
We are glad you found Grenna. And we are glad you found love with Crag. Just then, Crag Ranson couldn't help but comment, whoa, those two look like they're from Greenwich Gardens.
Oh.
And just like that, Tragedetta and Comedelia locked eyes, and a great purple smoke swirled around Crag and Sir Theodorlord, and bam! They were exiled to the realm of 100 monologues for men.
No!
Where they actually found themselves quite happy.
Oh.
We knew they would like it. The Fitzgobbin sisters giggled. Count Tranboth, Grenna, and Jafalgan Buttle went on to rule Gornick together in the first ever polyamorous reign. Oh. And though they didn't do much good, they didn't do much harm either.
Oh.
And as for the Ivory Fitness Center, well, it was shut down because it no longer met public health codes. The end.
That was incredible. And of course they would love the land of 100 mil monologues.
Yeah, it was made for them.
It was made for them.
And then they can decide once they get there, do we want to memorize these? If we do, we'll just have more experience under our belt.
Yeah.
We'll have more stuff to audition with.
Yeah, and if we don't get out of here, then, what is the big deal? Because we were supposed to do this.
Yeah, they were supposed to do it.
That was incredible.
It worked out for them. For everybody.
It looks like it worked out for everybody except
Flaggart.
Flaggart had a little bit of an accident there at the end, but it seems like he'll be okay.
I think so. Yeah, he'll be fine. He had surgery on his rotator cuff, so I think that's why he crashed into the tree.
Oh,
so he probably is just like, I need to be more careful and take a break or something.
Yeah, it's probably been a while since he picked up a human being, too, I imagine.
Probably, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I know Sir Theodorlord is probably pretty light, right? He's probably a lighter guy.
He's tall and slender, yeah.
So...
Yeah.
About like 150 pounds.
Yeah, that's still a lot, though, for a
little bird.
Yeah, for a thinking bird.
Yeah. Okay, Lizzie, my story of masks and artificers is called Mask of Dreams. Pretty good.
I love Mask of Dreams.
Yeah, well, it was... Thank you. It was a stormy winter day in Orkspire, but the weather in the dwarf town of Rockendwin had not gotten cold enough for actual snowfall yet. No, the skies poured cold, miserable water down onto the homes of the dwarves. Inside the warm workshop of a blacksmith, a dwarf was working away at his anvil, bringing the hammer down upon his brand new sword. His work was fine, maybe the best in the land, but to the people of Rockandwin, he was a celebrity. No shield, no sword, no suit of armor ever came to Rockandwin that could meet the caliber of the dwarf, one Reginald Stonesworth.
I love it.
He had a short brown beard and a hardened face from staring at hot lava stuff all day. I feel like that's a thing. Like, I think glass blowing is so fascinating because it's just a lot of looking at and being around really hot stuff.
Sparks flying in your face.
Yeah, no thanks. Along the walls were some of the finest suits of armor in various styles, all of a deep crimson color, Reginald's favorite. You could say his work was top tier, endgame material even. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Reginald pulled the damp door open. Outside was the mailman, Flick. He handed the dwarf an old scroll and went on his way without a word. And that was kind of weird, because usually he's a pretty friendly, warm guy. He's usually saying hello and goodbye, but he just went away that day. Flick, what's going on, man? What's
problems at home, maybe?
Maybe it's like... Maybe it is problems at home. I mean, I imagine it would be. A mailman is a pretty stressful job.
Yes. Especially in, what's the name of the land?
Orcspire, yeah. Well, I mean, there's swords and shields and stuff, which means there's, like, danger and violence out there. So the mailman has a lot of things that he's coming up against.
He's juggling a lot.
Mm-hmm. I would imagine. Yeah, so I think that's what that movie Mailman was about, all the hardships of the mail in olden times. The scroll was old. It felt like it was ready to disintegrate right there in Reginald's hands. He unrolled it carefully as to not tear the parchment. He looked at it. "Oh, awesome," said Reginald. "Ancient plans for a spooky mask. I'm gonna make this." Reginald began work immediately. Within a few hours, he had completed the mold necessary for the mask's shape. He smelted a red ore and poured it into the mold. He referred to the plans for the next step, but was perplexed. The dwarf read it aloud to make sure he saw this right. 1 vial of the craftsman's blood. At first he was like, but he was into the color red, so he thought, that's kind of dope. So he cut himself, I won't say where, because that's kind of gross, and bled into the mold. That night, Reginald laid in his bed with his eyes closed. As consciousness began to slip, his brain got real bored of just laying there in his skull and said, hey, I could make a movie. It'll star the number one guy I know the most, which is Reginald, and a bunch of people from his life. Okay, let's do this. The opening credits began to fade up, one after another. Dream Pictures presents a film produced by Brain, screenplay by Brain, directed by Brian. That was a typo. Starring Reginald Stonesworth. Special thanks to the lungs for breathing throughout the production. In this dream, Reginald was standing in the great bank of Rockandwin in only his underwear. Stonesworth realized this immediately. I better put some clothes on before I get arrested, he thought to himself. The dwarf looked around for something to wear when at his feet he discovered the same crimson mask he had begun work on that day, staring up at him. Well, at least I can conceal my identity, he figured. He picked up the mask and put it on. It was a tight fit to his face. But soon the dwarf could feel the mask seeping into his skin.
Oh, God.
He spun around and suddenly had on the most fabulous armor you could ever imagine. Smokin', said Reginald, with a new attitude and painted red face. He began to rob the bank like a cartoon as the scene faded to black. Are you familiar with what that's a reference to?
Rob the bank like a cartoon.
It's from the film. You may not have seen it. The film The Mask, that's starring Jim Carrey.
I've never seen The Mask.
You know what? With good reason. You don't need to go and see The Mask.
Like a cartoon.
It's kind of a ridiculous film.
I want to hear about this outfit.
Well, I think it probably was red, and it had probably like cool dragons painted on it in gold. And it was one where you could go, that guy is not going to get stabbed, but also he looks really sharp. So like a nice suit almost.
Yeah.
The next morning, Reginald grabbed his coin purse and headed out to the market to retrieve the gems necessary for completing the mask. There he met Gruel the gem trader. Gruel was old, with a gray beard, but he still had black eyebrows, which is kind of an interesting thing. It's just kind of interesting. How can I help you? Asked Gruel. I need 6 moonstones and 4 moon gems, said Reginald. "These gems have strange powers," said the old dwarf as he began to go through his stock. "One time I was talking to myself in my room, and there was a moon gem on the shelf, and the moon gem told me to shut up." "Yeah, great," said Reginald as he retrieved the appropriate amount of gold. "Oh, what are you making, if I may ask?" said the old dwarf as he handed Reginald a small satchel. "Oh, a mask." "A mask? Why, that's so cool!" Reginald didn't really have time to talk, so he paid and left. But soon the entire town was buzzing with the news of their favorite craftsman making a mask. And, word travels pretty quickly in Rockingdwin because they have a mail. The mail has been established. Yeah. It's been established, so, yeah. That night, Reginald returned to his workbench and fit the gems into the mask. It would have made sense to do this during the day so he wouldn't have to work by candlelight, but we're kind of going for a mood here. The dwarf lifted the mask to his face to make sure the stones were properly balanced, when he soon found himself lost in the mask's hollow eyes. He stared for a moment, thinking, when he was interrupted by the midnight toll of the town's bell. "Midnight?" said the craftsman in disbelief. "I finished fitting that last stone over there after 9 p.m. How could so much time have passed?" He was spooked by this and decided to complete the last step of the mask in the morning. As Reginald fell asleep in his bed, the opening credits of another movie began to fade in.
What?
Produced by The Mask. Screenplay by The Mask. Directed by The Mask. Fade up on Reginald in the middle of a bloody war fought at sunset. Everything was drenched in crimson red. Soldiers were dying all over. Reginald could tell that the weapons and armor were of his own hand, and on each soldier's face was the mask. The horrors of war were too much for the dwarf. He couldn't stomach anymore, so he turned away right into a giant crimson mask. "You did this," said the mask. The next morning, Reginald was found sitting at his dinner table with a half-empty bottle of mead in front of him, staring deeply out the window at the cold, wet winter morning. Disheveled and still in his pajamas, the voices of the mask echoed in his mind. A loud knock at the door broke him out of his trance. The dwarf got up and answered it, opening it just enough to see who was there. Fucking Gruel with his black eyebrows. "I've come to see the mask," said the old man. "Oh, I'm no longer working on it," the dwarf replied. "What? Well, the town would be disappointed, you see." Gruel pulled back the door to reveal the entire town waiting outside of Reginald's home in the cold winter rain. "We've all gathered to see your work." If there was one thing Reginald cared about, it was his reputation. He returned to his workbench and referred to the plans for the final step. He dipped his finger into a jar labeled "Cursed Glitter" and began to coat the inside of the mask with it. The crowd grew restless and began to chant, "Mask, mask, mask." "It is done," said Reginald. He grabbed his latest work and headed for the door, and he actually got a little excited to debut it. He walked out of the door and into the center of the crowd. "Here it is!" shouted Reginald. He got kind of a real full voice. Right. Earlier it was just some guy.
It's celebrity voice.
Yeah, now he's kind of had some weird dreams, so he's it's kind of changed him, you know? So, now he has this accent and different voice. "Here it is!" shouted Reginald. "My latest work." He held the crimson mask in the air, and suddenly, lasers shot out of the gems and hit some guys, and they died. "Oh, shit, his craft drove him into madness! Run!" shouted Gruel as he pushed many people down to get out of the way. More lasers shot out of the gems, and people were disintegrating, exploding, melting. The lasers seemed to have a variety of effects. Reginald was still holding the mask in the air, frozen in disbelief. From the other side of the town came running a less popular craftsman. He shouted, "I invented a candy that cures disease!" A laser fucking wrecked this dude. Suddenly, a rat bat soared over Reginald and grabbed the mask with its claw feet, tearing the mask out of his hand. The artificer watched as his latest work stared back at him, flying away. Then a giant laser shot out of the mask's mouth and directly hit Reginald, and he exploded in the most comical blood explosion that was way too much blood to be real, so it wasn't really that gross. But his blood spelled out this message on the ground. War. Man, who came up with this shit? Seriously, Freaking A, man. Makes me sad to even talk about it. We gotta find a way to end all this war, dude. And I'm gonna leave that up to the next generation. Peace. Oh my God. So that's the end. That's the end of this.
I love this so much.
It's mainly about some war. I don't know.
If you're a celebrity, don't take on outside projects.
You know what? If you're self-employed, don't take freelance work at the moment. You don't need to, because you know what happens? That laser masks.
I also love that Rockin' Gwyn sounds like the name of like a Garbage Pail Kid. Or is it Rockin' Dwin?
Rockin' Dwin.
It would be like someone with like buck teeth and a mullet. Like
I love it. I think that sounds pretty familiar, actually. I want that Garbage Pail Kid card, but like a dwarf from the town, you know?
Right.
And I feel like that's what they kind of look like, probably, with their drumsticks.
Yeah, like when he opens the door to reveal the entire town, I saw them as kind of like small people with a lot of like moles, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Maybe? No, there was like at least 38 moles in the crowd.
Like remarkable facial features.
Yeah. Like that were exposed that you could count. You know, who knows how many more? But yeah, a pretty moly town.
Rockin' Dwin.
I had a great time in Gornick. This is Nottingbirds is a really nice place. You know, considering the controversy, sure, you could find a reason not to come. But once you're in here, the staff is nice, and the people are nice too.
I think so too. There's a good, friendly energy.
Sir Theodore Lord and Craig Ragson, right? So they're now exiled, or rather, kind of on a honeymoon, right? I hope I could hear from them again one day, you know? And I feel like I could.
I have a feeling they can't help but memorize those monologues.
I'm sure they have like
What else are they going to do?
Yeah, well, I'm sure they have like a handful of them memorized already.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like, it's never what you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
You think it's going to be this horrible time in the realm of 100 monologues for men.
Yeah.
But then you get there and you're like, it was challenging to learn those monologues. But in the end, I learned a lot.
Yeah, and I feel like the only way you could have a bad time, like a really bad time, is by not doing any monologues and just listening to monologues.
Right.
You know, and
that's so true.
You know, you just got to be a part. You just got to do it sometimes. You just got to dive in. You know?
Have to learn all 100.
So Jafalgan Buttle, the heartthrob of this story, did he and Grenna have like a previous relationship?
No. Well, so Grenna was sleeping with Count Tranbath.
Yeah.
And they were engaged.
Oh.
But they wanted a third.
Oh.
So they brought Jafalgan into it.
And Jafalgan being open.
Yes.
To that. I mean, he's
open. He's just kind of like a barbaric person who wants like his simplest, most primal needs met.
Yeah.
So that kind of relationship works for him.
Yeah, and I guess he's probably super in love with his body.
Yes.
And wants to put it to
he wants it to be worshipped. Like it would completely go to waste if you were not involved in that relationship.
You know, that is so Jafalgan.
Yes.
You know?
And yet, it also makes him feel even better being next to like Count Tranbath, you know?
Oh, okay.
There's that too for his ego of like.
Yeah. Tranbath did get stuck in the fitted sheet.
He got caught.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
I had a wonderful time. I had some wonderful wings here at Nottingbirds.
I'm so glad you enjoyed them.
You know,
next time we'll get here a little earlier.
Yeah, before the storm comes in. Yeah, understandable that I get the rules. It's a rule of the house.
I didn't know. Yeah.
So Lizzy, you write on a show right now called Not Safe with Nikki Glaser, right?
I do.
It's not safe because it's not safe for work, right? You know,
yes.
It's a sex and relationship stuff, right?
It centers around sex and relationships. a lot of like field experiments and stuff like that.
And that's going to air early February, right?
Yes.
And then you'll also be at the Virgil later this month, correct?
Yes, I'll be there on January 19th.
So if you live in Los Angeles, it's a show called Victory Lap.
Yes.
And you'll be performing. You do stand-up. And you guys should absolutely go and see that.
Yes, please do.
Well, Lizzy, before we go, how do people say goodbye in Gornick?
They say goodbye by lowering their head and saying, feelings.
Feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Feelings, everyone. I hope you guys have a great week. Lizzy, thank you again so much for being on.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for listening to my story.
It was wonderful. Feelings. See you soon.
Feelings.